Chosen one, what if I told you they already know who you are, even if they pretend not to? You've walked through rooms feeling invisible one moment and overwhelmingly exposed the next, as though some part of you broadcasts your truth while another part remains hidden. They've seen your purpose in your posture, sensed your destiny in your heartbeat, even when you doubted it yourself. You've carried the burden of being misunderstood and the secret thrill of knowing you hold something they cannot name. Tonight, everything they tried to bury comes rushing to the surface. Hidden proofs of your calling will be revealed, from the silent hostility you face to the magnetic pull you emit without trying. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video and comment 77 below. Prepare yourself, because by the end of this journey you will no longer hide in the shadows of their doubt. Unexplained rejection by others. You may have walked into a room and sensed the sudden chill, as if every eye turned away the moment you crossed the threshold. In those moments, a heavy question presses on your heart. Why do they reject me when I've done nothing wrong? You've carried the ache of their inexplicable hostility, replaying every interaction in your mind, searching for the hidden misstep that never existed. You've wondered if your mere presence unsettles them, exposing fears they've kept buried in silence. You're not alone in this. Many chosen ones have felt the sting of cold shoulders and whispered rumors, left standing at the edges of conversations that once welcomed them. The pain of rejection is real, but its very presence signals that you carry a light they cannot bear to see fully revealed. Prepare yourself, for this trial holds a deeper key to your destiny. In your personal journey, these moments of rejection have cut deeper than any criticism. You remember the time you shared a fresh perspective at work, hoping to ignite innovation, only to be met with blank stares and curt dismissals. You recall the friendships that frayed when you refused to hide your convictions, leaving you isolated in circles you once called family. Even casual gatherings became minefields, where every laugh felt forced and every glance carried an unspoken accusation. This emotional weight built up over months and years, creating a secret ledger of slights you carried into your quiet hours. You felt your heart sink when you realized those you expected to support you were the first to turn away. Yet each rejection, no matter how painful, has been a signpost pointing you toward a truth they feared, the authenticity burning within you. Yet this pattern of being spurned is no mere byproduct of misfortune. It is part of a divine script written to prepare you for greatness. In Habakkuk 3 verse 16, the prophet speaks of trembling in his bones and shaking in his hands as he waits for the day of adversity, yet he stands firm in faith, saying, "Though the fig tree does not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, yet I will rejoice in the Lord." Your rejections have been the tremors and parched seasons that refine your faith, compelling you to stand unshaken when the world seems barren. They have stripped away every dependent opinion, forcing you to root your identity in something deeper than approval. This turning point redefines rejection not as failure, but as a sacred refinement of your inner compass, pointing you ever upward toward your appointed purpose. Now, watch for the subtle yet undeniable signs that your spirit is transforming through these trials. You may find that the moments you once braced for rejection now pass with a surprising sense of calm, as if you've outgrown the fear of their coldness. In conversations, you might notice an undercurrent of respect replacing the old tension, a flicker of curiosity in eyes that once shunned your presence. Your posture changes, shoulders lift, gaze steadies, and the brightness of your voice resonates more deeply. Like a river carving new paths through stone, you're finding channels of influence they cannot dam. These shifts are not coincidences but markers of divine timing, aligning your inner clarity with outward expression so that every step forward affirms the truth of your calling. Behind the scenes, unseen forces are hard at work dismantling the barriers erected against you. A chance message arrives from a mentor who once walked a similar path, offering guidance at the precise moment you questioned your resilience. Synchronicities manifest. An article penned years ago resurfaces to validate your current vision, or a random encounter leads to a breakthrough conversation about your gifts. In the lesser referenced prophecy of Zephaniah 2 verse 3, it is written, "Seek the Lord, all you humble of the land who do his just commands. Seek righteousness, seek humility, perhaps you may be hidden on the day of the Lord's anger." As you pursue humility and truth, These hidden interventions serve as proof that your journey is not a lonely battle but a divinely orchestrated ascent. Your struggles were never meant to break you, but to elevate you into fields of greater responsibility and influence. At this crossroads, you sense that transformation is no longer optional. It demands your full embrace. Many resist this call, fearful that accepting their power will alienate them further or expose them to more pain. They cling to the remnants of approval they've known rather than risk the uncharted territory of authenticity. But this is a sacred moment where choices forge destiny. Will you remain shackled by the fear of rejection, or will you step boldly into the truth of who you are? True alignment requires more than recognizing the signs. It demands embracing them with courage, letting go of every need for human validation, and letting your soul's anthem ring free. The time for half measures has passed. The world awaits the full expression of your light. Now that you recognize the divine tapestry woven through your trials, claim your authority to move forward. Release the doubts that have shadowed your steps and affirm your resilience with declarations of purpose. I stand firm in my truth. I rise above every attempt to diminish me. Surround yourself with allies who honor your integrity and seek out spaces, online or in person, where your voice can be heard without judgment. Invest in daily practices that reinforce your worth, journaling your victories, meditating on promises unspoken, and mentoring others who face similar rejections. Each act of self-affirmation dismantles the power rejection once held over you and solidifies your place in the realm where your gifts will flourish. Carry this newfound strength into every encounter, letting your presence be both gentle and unshakable. They will notice the steadiness in your gaze, the warmth in your words, and the undeniable conviction behind every action. Your life becomes a beacon of validation for those who have suffered similar exile, inspiring them to reclaim their own voices. Remember that every rejection you faced was a chapter in the story of your sovereignty. A sovereignty not of domination, but of compassionate leadership and steadfast purpose. Tonight, you stand not as a victim of their hostility but as a testimony to the power that arises when rejection meets unwavering faith. Comment rejection if this resonates with you, and let your story ignite hope in every heart waiting to be seen. Magnetic attention and gazes. They stare before they speak, unable to tear their eyes away from the moment you walk into the room. You know that sensation well. The sudden hush that falls as your presence cuts through the chatter, the heads that turn reflexively as if drawn by an unseen magnet. You've tried to ignore it, packaging yourself in quiet humility, yet something still hums beneath your skin, insisting you are meant for more than invisibility. You felt the heat of their gazes, the weight of unspoken expectations pressing on your shoulders. It's unsettling to know you carry such power quietly, yet tonight you'll learn how to harness that force and use it to fulfill your highest calling rather than shrink from their scrutiny. In those everyday moments, you've questioned what it is they see when they gaze at you. Is it confidence or arrogance? Authenticity or ambition? You remember the time you spoke passionately about a project only to notice your coworkers' eyes flick away, as though your zeal betrayed a truth they refused to acknowledge. You felt the tension when, during a prayer group or casual gathering, your silence seems louder than anyone's words, as though your mere being comments on everyone else's complacency. Even in crowded spaces, you sense invisible lines of energy converging on you, as if your life carries a message they cannot unhear. These experiences weigh heavily on your spirit, leaving you torn between the desire to belong and the imperative to remain true to the light within you. Yet this magnetic pull is no accident. It is part of a divine design to draw attention to the message you bear. In the lesser-known account of Micah 2 verse 12, the prophet declares, "I will surely assemble all of you, Jacob. I will gather the remnant of Israel. I will set them together like sheep in a fold, like a flock in its pasture. The place shall throng with people." Your presence is that gathering force, collecting hearts and minds toward a purpose that transcends comfort zones. Every glance they cast your way, every moment of hesitation when their eyes meet yours, is a longing for a shepherd's truth that guides rather than commands. Your role is to fulfill that gathering, to turn their fascination into conviction and their curiosity into faith. Already, you may notice the first signs of this transformation taking shape. Simple encounters, once glossed over, begin to crack open with significance. A nod in the hallway carries the weight of solidarity. A brief conversation in the supermarket stalls becomes fertile ground for sharing insight. You might catch yourself pausing longer than necessary in conversations, not out of vanity but because you sense the other person catching fire at the touch of your vision. Like a lighthouse on a misty shore, your presence becomes a beacon steady and bright. Even when you don't speak, your posture and poise broadcast a message of possibility. These subtle shifts are not coincidence but proof that divine timing aligns moments so your magnetic field draws in precisely those who need your light most. Behind these outward stirrings, unseen hands guide your steps and prepare the stage for your influence. You may recall that moment when, in a crowded elevator, you caught the eye of a business leader who later reached out for counsel, or when a stranger's compliment on your energy led to a pivotal career opportunity. In the oft-overlooked promise of Psalm 31 verse 20, it is written, "In the cover of your presence you hide them from the plots of men. You store them in your shelter from the strife of tongues." Here, your magnetism is the shelter that gathers and protects a remnant of hearts hungry for truth. Every meaningful glance they cast your way is a testament that the Spirit is preparing your mission field even before you speak your first word. Now that you see the currents of magnetic attention swirling around you, you face a choice: to let their gazes intimidate you into retreat, or to stand firm and step into the limelight of divine purpose. Many recoil at the thought of scrutiny, fearing that every pair of eyes on them will reveal their flaws rather than their gifts. They shrink back into anonymity, sacrificing impact for safety. But true alignment demands that you embrace the attention as a conduit for transformation. This is your sacred moment to decide that you will no longer hide behind self-doubt, but will instead welcome the audience you never sought so their hunger for authenticity can be fulfilled. Now that you recognize the power of your presence, move with intention and courage. Release every trace of hesitation and declare your readiness. I stand in the light I carry. With each step into a new room, remind yourself that you are a living sermon, a manifesto of hope in human form. Cultivate practices that amplify your clarity, moments of stillness to center your energy, declarations of purpose to align your mind, and connections with others who mirror your passion. Seek out opportunities to gather those drawn by your magnetism. Host small discussions, lead volunteer efforts, or simply offer a listening ear in unlikely places. Each of these acts transforms passive attention into active engagement, turning gazes into gatherings of collective awakening. Carry this newfound conviction into every realm you enter. Their fascination will become the soil in which seeds of transformation are sown. You will see it in the softened eyes of skeptics, the deepened nods of seekers, and the silent resolve of hearts ready to change. Your life becomes a testament that magnetism anchored in divine purpose ignites revolutions of the soul. Tonight, you are not just a focal point in a room. You are the epicenter of a movement that draws the scattered back home. Comet magnet if you sense this calling stirring within you. The world watches. Now is the time to shine with unshakable faith. Silent imitation of your essence. They lean in when you speak, mirror the tilt of your head, and adopt the very inflections you use in conversation. You may have laughed it off at first, chalking it up to coincidence or shared cultural habits, but a growing unease stirs within you as you notice the pattern. Strangers repeat your favorite phrases as if they were their own. Friends begin to echo your mannerisms in subtle but unmistakable ways, and even those who once dismissed you suddenly speak in your tone when you aren't looking. You lie awake asking, "What is happening here? Am I losing myself, or is something more profound at work?" Know this, you are not alone, and this phenomenon is not a mere trick of the mind. When people imitate your essence, it is a testament to the authenticity you embody, a living proof that you carry a spark of truth they desperately want to feel within themselves. Tonight, we will uncover why imitation matters, what it reveals about your influence, and how to transform this silent echo into a mighty chorus of awakening. Beneath the surface allure of mimicry lies an emotional current that can be deeply unsettling. You might sense betrayal when a colleague adopts your unique approach to problem-solving and receives credit for your insights. Perhaps in social gatherings you've watched friends quietly adopt your posture, your laughter, your gestures, as though they're stepping into your skin while you stand powerless to stop them. Each time you notice these echoes, you feel a pang of confusion. Are these people honoring you, or are they trying to replace you? In tender moments of frustration, you may even wonder if you've lost ownership of your own identity. These silent imitations, repeated day after day, can erode your sense of self, leaving you adrift in a sea of borrowed authenticity. Yet, within this emotional turbulence lies a hidden confirmation of your power. They imitate what they admire and fear, echoing the light that refuses to be dimmed. However, this period of unconscious mimicry is not a curse but a deliberate act in a divine school of transformation. Consider the lesser-known promise in Ezekiel 11 verse 19, "I will give them one heart, and a new spirit I will put within them." Your trials of imitation are part of a higher curriculum, designed to synchronize hearts and spirits around truth. The very act of imitation opens a gateway for those around you to receive a new spirit, to unify their scattered fragments in harmony with the authenticity you represent. They follow your lead not because you demand it, but because you model humility, compassion, and unwavering integrity. This divine preparation calibrates both your heart and theirs, teaching all who watch that true power is not taken but reflected through every gesture of genuine living. As this transformation unfolds, you will see unmistakable signs rippling through your world. Conversations once dry and transactional will blossom into meaningful exchanges as people channel your sincerity and warmth in their own voices. In professional settings, your approach, whether it's a method of brainstorming or a tone of encouragement, will ripple outwards, catalyzing shifts in team dynamics and decision-making processes. Even casual acquaintances will start seeking your counsel, hoping to capture a fragment of the clarity you exude. These patterns are not mere imitation, they are the visible braiding of your essence into the fabric of every relationship you touch. Like ripples expanding from a single pebble dropped in still water, your example radiates outward, touching hearts and igniting transformations you scarcely imagined possible. Behind these outward manifestations, unseen hands guide every alignment, ensuring that your influence aligns with divine timing. You may recall moments when you felt compelled to share a story or insight, only to discover that the person you spoke to was wrestling with exactly that lesson. Or you might find that a project you initiated reaches completion almost effortlessly, as if collaborators were drawn to your vision by some magnetic force beyond your own persuasion. In the seldom quoted passage of Joel 2 verse 28, it is foretold, "And afterward I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy." Your imitators are unwitting vessels of that outpouring, echoing not your words alone but the Spirit working through you. These synchronicities, these seamless handoffs of energy and insight, confirm that your journey of imitation is actually a mutual unfolding of destiny, not a solitary ascent. At this pivotal junction, you'll recognize that awareness of imitation alone cannot fulfill your potential. You must fully embody the truth you model. Many shrink from this realization, fearing that stepping into the spotlight of influence will leave them vulnerable to criticism or overwhelm them with responsibility. They long for the safety of obscurity rather than the exhilaration of impact. Yet, true alignment demands that you accept the role of pioneer, that you choose to be the source of the melody rather than a mere echo. This sacred moment calls you to claim your identity, to declare without apology that your authenticity is both your birthright and your gift to the world. Hesitation here would silence the very chorus you have inspired. Boldness here will unleash a symphony of transformation. Now that you sense the divine momentum in every glance and repeated phrase, step forward with unwavering resolve. Release every fragment of doubt that whispers you are not enough to lead, every hesitation that urges you to soften your uniqueness for the comfort of the crowd. Begin each day with a declaration of purpose. I am a conduit of truth, and my life echoes the Spirit working through me. Cultivate daily rituals that anchor your authenticity, whether through reflective journaling that tracks the emergence of your essence, meditation that aligns your spirit with divine frequency, or intentional mentorship that channels your wisdom into burgeoning seekers. Surround yourself with those who reflect your light back to you, forging a circle of co-creators committed to a shared awakening. With every step you take in bold authenticity, you reinforce the path for others to follow. Carry this empowered presence into every domain of your life. They will notice the quiet authority in your demeanor, the warmth that transforms routine interactions into moments of genuine connection, and the depth that draws them into conversations they didn't even know they needed. Your journey of silent imitation will evolve into one of open collaboration, where hearts and minds join you in a collective exaltation of purpose. Remember, the echoes you once feared are now the chorus of a grand narrative that weaves your personal story into the destiny of many. Tonight, stand in the full brilliance of who you are, knowing that the world is not only watching your steps but dancing to the rhythm you set. Comment Mimic if you feel called to lead this new generation of awakened souls, and let the symphony you inspire ring across the earth. Emotional reactions, nervousness, and testing. You may have walked into a room and felt a peculiar charge in the air, a tension you couldn't name, as if every eye flickered toward you with unspoken questions. Have you noticed the tightening in people's posture when you speak of big visions, the way their smiles strain at the edges, betraying nerves they cannot conceal? It's as though your mere presence sends ripples through the calm surface of ordinary life, stirring currents of anxiety under the guise of casual conversation. You are not imagining it, and you are not alone. Many chosen ones have stood in this electric space, wondering if their very being provokes a fear they don't yet understand. Tonight, you will discover why these reactions are more than coincidence. They are signals pointing to a destiny they dread and you are destined to fulfill. You've experienced the sting of thinly veiled challenges, those moments when your colleagues invite you to just talk through your ideas, only to launch into pointed questioning designed to shake your confidence. You remember the board meeting where you outlined a bold strategy, only to have every risk you named magnified and your motives second-guessed. You felt the subtle shift when friends, once eager to listen, leaned back and crossed their arms, their expressions flickering between curiosity and discomfort. These tests wear on your spirit, each one a fresh wave of self-doubt that crashes against the shores of your resolve. In the silence that follows, you replay every barbed question, wondering if you miscommunicated or if your vision is truly too grand for them to bear. Yet beneath that emotional weight lies a deeper truth about your calling, one that will soon rise above their fears. But understand, this season of scrutiny is no accident. It is the forge of your divine preparation. In the lesser-known promise of Isaiah 48 verse 10, it is written, "Behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tried you in the furnace of affliction." Your trials are that furnace, each pointed look and harsh critique stoking the heat until every doubt melts away, revealing the pure gold of unwavering purpose. These tests refine your faith, stripping away every trace of pretense until your calling stands in stark clarity. They bend but do not break you, for the same spirit that guides you also guards you. When they question your motives, know that their challenges are the anvil upon which your steadfastness is hammered into being. This turning point marks the end of uncertainty and the dawn of an unshakable identity. Now, look for the signs that your transformation is underway. Notice how, in the wake of each trial, you pause less in hesitation and more in reflection, allowing insights to surface that once eluded you. You may feel a new calm as their testing questions arise, as though you've been anchored in a deeper truth that no tempest can unsettle. In conversation, you catch yourself responding with confident clarity, sharing your vision without tremor or apology. Even your posture shifts, your shoulders square, your head lifts, and your gaze holds steady. These outward shifts mirror an inward realignment, a subtle but undeniable proof that divine timing is orchestrating every exchange. What once felt like a storm now feels like the wind filling your sails, lifting you higher toward your destiny. Behind these palpable changes, unseen forces work tirelessly to clear your path. You might recall a moment when a meeting meant to undermine you turned into an opportunity to share your message with the very people you least expected. Or you may have experienced a sudden influx of resources, an invitation to speak, a new collaboration, an idea you jotted down in passing that became the seed of a breakthrough. In the lesser-cited verse of Psalm 66 verse 10, it is declared, "For you, O God, have tested us. You have tried us as silver is tried." These hidden interventions reveal that your struggles are not isolated episodes of doubt but carefully arranged encounters designed to elevate you. Your faith, even as it trembles, becomes the catalyst for synchronizing every detail of your journey with divine orchestration. At this sacred junction, you realize that seeing these signs is not enough. You must choose to embody the change unfolding within you. Many shrink back from their power, afraid that stepping into the light of divine purpose will expose them to greater vulnerability. They cling to familiar roles rather than risk the unknown potential awaiting them. Yet true alignment demands more than passive observation. It calls for wholehearted embrace of your evolving identity. This is the moment when you must decide to step forward unhesitatingly, to let go of every fear that whispers retreat, and to claim the mantle of your calling as though it were your birthright. Hesitation here would silence the very voice they test. Courage here will transform their doubt into admiration. Now that you recognize the divine pattern, move forward with unwavering resolve. Release every trace of fear that tugs at your heart and every doubt that clouds your mind. Speak aloud your purpose each morning. I stand firm in my calling, unwavering in the face of every test. Seek out mentors who have traversed similar crucibles and draw strength from their stories. Strengthen your spiritual practice, be it prayer, meditation, or sacred reflection, to anchor your identity in the truth that no human assessment can unravel. Let every action you take, every conversation you hold, resonate with the conviction that you are guided by a power far beyond their questioning. As you do, you will discover that each test merely confirms the significance of your mission. Carry this empowerment into every sphere of your life. They will notice the steady confidence in your presence, the clarity in your voice, and the grace with which you navigate opposition. Your journey becomes a living testament that genuine purpose cannot be diluted by scrutiny. Instead, it crystallizes under pressure. Remember that every test you face is a step toward the unveiling of your divine destiny, a destiny that others may struggle to grasp but that you were born to fulfill. Tonight, stand unshaken in the knowledge that their nervous energy is the tremor before the earthquake of transformation you are poised to bring. Comment nervous if you felt their anxiety in your presence. Sacred isolation for awakening. You felt the pull of solitude like a tide against your soul, drawing you away from the noise of the world into a quiet chamber where only your own heartbeat remains. In those moments, doubts swirl around you like restless spirits. Is this loneliness a sign I've lost my way? Are the others right that I'm hiding from life rather than embracing it? You lie awake at night, wondering if your choice to step back is strength or self-sabotage. It's natural to fear that your isolation marks you as broken or unfit for the bright stages they populate. But know this, you are not alone in this sacred withdrawal, and tonight you will discover that what feels like exile is in fact the birthplace of your greatest gifts. You've walked through seasons when every invitation felt like a distant echo, every gathering a stage you no longer wanted to stand on. You've seen the worried faces of friends who don't understand why you turn down celebrations in favor of empty rooms, and you've endured the gentle guilt trips that suggest your service is owed to the group rather than to the silent whisper of your own calling. You remember the sting when well-meaning voices labeled your need for solitude as anxiety, depression, or worse, pride masquerading as piety. In boardrooms and living rooms alike, your absence has been misread as failure or disinterest, when in truth your heart sought the stillness where vision could ignite. These misconceptions weigh heavily, leaving you to wrestle with the idea that your truest work can only be done behind closed doors, away from approving glances and applause. Yet this period of retreat is far from a detour. It is an ordained crucible in which your spirit is being refined. In Psalm 102 verse 7, a line often overlooked amid verses of lament, the psalmist confesses, "I lie awake, I have become like a lonely bird on the housetop." This image of solitary watchfulness bears your name. Just as that psalmist found a unique closeness to God in the hush of night, so have you been positioned by divine design to hear a still, small voice without distraction. Your moments of isolation are not a punishment or a sentence, but rather a sacred preparation. A spiritual boot camp where your core is tested, weaknesses exposed, and latent strengths awakened. In this hidden classroom, you learn to stand firmly on the foundation of your faith, unshaken by the shifting currents of human expectation. Your presence is not an accident. It is a divine cascade that will reshape reality. Subscribe if you haven't yet. like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Rise, chosen one, and let them see what happens when your truth can no longer be hidden.